Right, so very good morning to you. It is an absolute pleasure to have you joining us this Friday morning. Well, I am your host, Doreen Apollos, and being a Friday, I want to take things a bit easy. I want to take a look at how we can, today we want to take a look at the whole educational entertainment part of it. And we want to evaluate how we can use entertainment not only to amuse, but also to educate. Well, with me in studio is one of the edutainments. We have Darren Collins. He is an edutainment from the Creative Ministry training that is in the United States. Well, he says he's also a child of it here in Kenya, and he is also a puppet trainer. And he's going to be using puppets to demonstrate how you can use the whole entertainment aspect to educate. Well, I hope you're going to love this particular show because I'm particularly looking forward to it. There's a bit of magic also coming up. So it's a show that you don't want to miss, and thank you for joining us. Darren, it's an absolute pleasure to have you joining us in our studios today.
Thank you so much, Doreen.
What is edutainment? What is using educational aspect to, educational aspect to entertain? And not only to entertain, but also with a bit of educational aspect to it, something that people can learn.
Absolutely, a lot of educational content. Essentially, entertainment is a very simple way to gather people's attention. And it's usually done just for pleasure or for mirth. But once you have the attention of an audience, well, that is a perfect time to also educate. Mm-hmm. And a lot of education, of course, will use writing lessons, or they might use reading or lecture, which are fine ways to learn. But you can imagine as an adult or as a child, if you were to be entertained and see something incredible and something amazing and something that makes you laugh and teaches you at the same time, not only is it easier to learn, but it's easier to remember.
Yeah.
And so whenever I can use the arts in order to teach, I find it a personal pleasure, but I also notice that the audience is extremely receptive because the attention is so, it's perfect. You know, they pay perfect attention.
All right. When we see the puppets, and particularly the puppet setting in the studio, we always assume this is a show mm-hmm. for the young minds. Mm-hmm. Do you also use it for the adults as well?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, especially since I've been visiting here in Kenya, it's quite clear that well, in pretty much every culture I go to, people enjoy puppets. They don't always say so. Mm-hmm. After a puppet show that is for a family, a mom or a dad will say, you know, the kids really liked it. And I say, I watched your eyes. You liked it more than they did. And in fact, back in the 1970s is when puppetry became very popular mm-hmm. in the United States because of the Muppet Show. And I opened up the television guide that reviewed all of the television shows on TV, and it said, the only adult show on television, and it was the Puppet Show that mm-hmm. was playing on primetime television because it used satire and adult humor. Everyone thought it was for kids, but really it was the adult show.
Even the adults were glued to it.
Absolutely.
All right, and how long have you been doing this? Is it something you went training for? Is it a passion? How long have you been doing this?
I was a child, and my older brother had left home years and years ahead, and he had old toys and puppets, and he had sent them to me because he was going off to college or something. And I was 12 years old, and I opened this box full of puppets, and I went, wow, this is kind of neat. You know, I was 12. Mm-hmm. And then immediately at my church, our pastor, our youth pastor, said, hey, you like that puppet thing? We're starting a puppet education team at our church where we use puppets and drama to mm-hmm. teach, you know, Bible lessons and things. And so they said, go to this training. And by this time, I was 13 years old. And I went to a weekend training seminar where we just learned for about 3.5 hours, and I learned how to do puppets, and so I'm 34 now. So I've been doing it since I was 13,
all right.
And always for education.
And it's not just the puppets; you also have an aspect of magic to it.
Oh, sure.
Tell us a bit about that.
Magical effects have always been used for entertainment, but what's really great about magic, whether something appears or something disappears or something multiplies, these are key elements for metaphor. Mm-hmm. So you can teach about the spread of disease. As a magical thing appears and multiplies, you can talk about disease because people in rural areas don't understand germs or how germ theory works or how viruses work. But if you can do a demonstration that's visual, instead of just lecturing, you can do a demonstration. And of course, then you say, well, this is how this is like this, mm-hmm. or this is how this is like this. And of course, it keeps their attention, and then you can use metaphor.
All right. Just so you know, during this part of this show, we are going to be using puppets to demonstrate part of what Darren is talking about, and we're also going to tell you how puppetry can be used in the development of the curriculum, particularly for HIV and AIDS. But before we get there, let's see, how do you use puppets, Darren, to teach? How is it that you use both aspects, that people don't lose it, that they just don't get amused, but also get the message that you want to pass across? How do you draw the balance?
Well, the balance is drawn just like in a dramatic presentation. If you were to watch a drama, whether it's on television or in real life, in theater, well, certainly in fiction, we can teach valuable life lessons. Certainly in any presentation, you can talk about key ideas. What's special about puppets is, number one, they're not real. They're not real. Mm-hmm. And so in that way, they can say things that people might not necessarily be able to say. Mm-hmm. In every culture I go to, in every country I go to, in every place, puppets are allowed to talk about things in public that maybe you and I might not, or might be embarrassed to talk about, whether it's politics or human sanitation, mm-hmm. or sex, talking about condom use or HIV. You know, these are things that are uncomfortable for people, but because the puppets aren't real, they were given special allowances. And the same is true with humor. Puppets can say unkind things on television or in person for jokes, mm-hmm. and a person would never get away with it. People would be angry, but because a puppet says it, they're like, oh, that's so funny. But it's also so realistic that people pay attention. Wow. So it's fake, it's not real, and so it's allowed to say things that people aren't, but it's realistic, so people still pay attention and enjoy watching. And it's a powerful combination.
Yeah, and something about the puppets, you cannot judge them. You cannot,
right.
You cannot have hard feelings.
No one's going to argue with a puppet.
Nobody's going to argue with it because
right.
it's inhuman. All right, do you think then, mm-hmm. You know, since the whole aspect of edutainment has been there since years back,
yeah.
You know, our old folks used to use parables to teach us things.
Absolutely.
And do you still think we're embracing the whole issue of edutainment? Or these days we are all about, fine, we're going to go to school, learn. When it's entertainment, it's entertainment, and we don't want to learn. We sort of we've sort of separated the two issues. There's education, this side entertainment. Do you think we've kind of lost?
It's not so much that it's lost. It's, well, maybe lost is the right word. It's just that it's not taught. Puppetry is actually one of the top 5 educational tools in the world. But it's very rarely used because there's very little training. Mm-hmm. That's my specialty, is I'm training. That's one of the reasons I'm here in Kenya. Mm-hmm. So I want to train as many people as possible to use this tool. It's powerful. It's a very powerful tool, but there's just not enough training. I've had the privilege of training maybe 20,000 puppeteers around the world. So it's a passion of mine. I just enjoy using it.
All right. For any young mind, any young person listening to you out there, they're thinking, all right, fine, Darren is doing this, but then again, tell us a bit about yourself. Did you go to school for any other course? Did you just decide, oh, well, I'm going to go to school, but I want to look at the whole aspect of entertainment and particularly puppetry? Tell us a bit about your education part.
Well, it's kind of humbling. I do have a wonderful career in the United States, going to schools and teaching by just doing shows, 45-minute educational entertainment shows. But I have no formal training. I was the last of 5 children, and being the youngest one, my parents were just like, just do whatever you want. It's okay. Life will turn out okay. And so I wanted to go to college, but a university, but I couldn't afford it, and I didn't really understand the university system, and so I just didn't get into school. I wasn't very smart.
So this is your bread and butter.
And so this is my bread and butter, but when I was 19, I applied for a job that was teaching puppetry, because I was good at that. I knew I had the skill because I'd always been practicing since I was 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. So by the time I was 19, I had the skills necessary. And they hired me. They hired 3 people, and I was one of them. And I ended up traveling the entire United States, going to 140 cities in 1 year, just teaching and teaching and teaching right away. And so I got lots of practice, and I did it again the next year. So by that time, almost 300 cities I had been to. And that is a great way to start a career. Oh. Just repetition, just doing it over and over and learning and learning. And so I specialize in using puppets and teaching teachers how to use things like lights, or chairs or a light switch or a set of keys, and how to use that into metaphor to teach an important concept. So to use object lessons, I suppose. That was also what I was instructed to teach. So I got very good at it. So no formal education, just practice, practice, practice.
All right. You are lucky that this is a passion that you developed as a child and sort of spilled over to adulthood, and it's your bread and butter, and it's working for you, and it's something that you're actually training other people to adopt as well.
Absolutely.
But for someone watching you out there, they're thinking, oh, well, it's not a passion of mine, but I would be interested. What would they need to do? Where would they go to learn?
Well,
you're only based in the United States. I don't know of any Kenyan school that you can walk into and say, oh, well, I want to learn puppetry. And they tell you, oh, yes, we have a course. So
yeah.
what happens in
Well, there's no place to learn. There's really no place to learn in the United States either, except for just a workshop or a seminar, you know. However, I'm a seminar teacher. I've taught 20,000 people, and I came to Kenya so I could teach people here. So I will be teaching classes. I'm teaching classes today.
And you have training today? I have
training today. I have a 3.5-hour course, which you'll learn everything you need to know to make puppets look great and to educate. And it's at the Kenya National Theatre today at 2 o'clock.
At 2 o'clock. Who is invited?
Anyone who wishes to attend.
Are they supposed to pay a fee?
There is a fee.
How much is the fee, and how long is the session?
The session is 3.5 hours. And they receive a book with university level notes. It has all the notes, I will say, and more. So it's a very high quality piece of information. And they will be put into a drawing. So someone will win a free puppet, will be given a free puppet. And the cost is 1,800 Kenyan shillings for the 3.5-hour hands-on. Every single person will use a puppet, will actually be able to practice during the classes. It's very intense and very clear, very specific. It's the same class that I've taught all over the world.
All right.
Yes.
Now, I want us to get into the whole demonstration part.
Of course. I can't wait. The viewers are probably
because
dying.
I also cannot wait. I'm actually itching to see that.
Yes.
But before we get there, how affordable are the puppets and the tools that you use?
That's an important word. It's tools. They are very specifically tools. These are not toys. The puppets that I have are extremely durable, extremely aesthetically pleasing, and made for educators. And so the price on this particular model is, I can't do the math. I'm thinking in US dollars right now.
It's okay, you can just say it in dollars.
And this one is 120 US dollars. And it's probably, I mean, I don't want to brag, but it's actually one of the best puppets in the world. They're very, very good. So these tools are generally invested in by churches or by theater companies, or they're invested in by NGOs, and they're treated as equipment, as educational equipment, just like you might pay for a blackboard or for a desk. Yeah. This is the sort of thing.
All right, fine. What would you like to demonstrate at this particular point, Darren?
Well, I want to show the puppet first.
You want to show the puppet, then after that?
After that, I want to show some magic tricks.
All right.
And I want to show what other people are doing.
Fine, let's get down to it.
Okay, right now?
Yes.
This second?
Yes, this second.
Okay, good. Okay. This here is Andy. We call him Andy.
Andy.
Hi. Oh, wow. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm a little embarrassed. I've never been on television before. Yeah. So you can ask me questions.
Okay, fine. When you're teaching.
This guy?
Oh,
yes, I guess.
Who
either
am I
way.
supposed to talk to now?
I don't care. Either one.
Fine, I'm going to talk to Darren.
Go ahead.
Then Andy is going to respond.
Okay.
When you're teaching, do people, you see it the same way? I didn't know who to address. Who do I address? Do I address Darren or do I address Andy?
That's a good question.
Well, you see, Darren doesn't normally do it this way. Normally he has a stage, and I stand behind the puppet theater, and no one gets to see his face. They just see mine. But right now we're on television. I don't have a theater or a set. And you can see his lips move, but that's okay, because look at you. You're looking right at my eyes, just like a good student. You don't care what he's doing, because you like to look at me, just like that. But normally, there's a theater or a stage, so you would just talk to me.
All right, fine.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Andy.
Yeah,
fine.
sure.
Does Andy have friends?
Well...
And why I asked that is because when Andy is talking, he has this Andy voice.
Yeah.
then Andy might have a friend on the other side who will have a different voice.
Yeah.
So how do you know how to change the intonation? How to change the, you know?
Yeah, he has lots of friends, and usually we work together with more humans. See, Darren's going to teach people how to use many puppets with many puppeteers, just like a drama group. So there would be a different person using a different voice over there.
I also have, what I've done is I've gone around and I've developed curriculum, tons of curriculum, but it's pre-recorded. See, what I do is I teach puppeteers the art form and how to do it, but it's very difficult to put on a very professional show without microphones and equipment and all of this. What I do is I go into a studio and I hire professional voice actors or myself and other people, and we record the audio tracks. So the script is pre-written and the audio is pre-recorded. So the puppeteer pushes play and it plays out of the sound system, and you can just lip sync along with the track. That way the curriculum is set and it's very good and high quality. There's music and there's cues and the audio is already done.
So when you're on set, it's not just Darren, it's Darren and a couple of other guys.
Mm-hmm. And we are all lip syncing to a pre-recorded track. Now, it doesn't have to be that way, but when I develop curriculum for people, whether it's for church education or what I do with HIV education, I'll record this all with Swahili actors in order to, we'll talk about that later about using it for HIV, but that way they don't have to work so hard. They don't have to memorize a script. You know, they don't have to have funny voices. The timing doesn't have to be perfect because it's already put down on the track. Sounds very nice that way.
Okay.
So right now my demonstration is slightly different than the curriculum
because you don't have your stage.
Right. And I don't have all that other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Let's talk about the modern types of infotainment that we have. Is this modern or is this traditional?
I think it's a blend of both. I mean, certainly puppetry and storytelling is ancient. You know, storytelling in general is ancient. Shadow puppets have been popular in Africa. Other styles of puppets have been popular. So it's a traditional art form. Anytime you use another object to manipulate, to tell stories, that's considered puppetry. It doesn't have to be a human type character. It could be some sort of shape or symbol or something like that. But it's also new because it's high tech and it can be used on television. So, you know, there's nothing new under the sun, I would say.
All right.
Yeah.
And particularly why I asked that is because when you go to probably organizations and corporations, you'd probably adopt a different aspect, probably use PowerPoint or something. Is it, do you still use the puppet so you go to sort of train in organizations, or you use different aspects?
Well, if I'm doing a proposal, sure, I might use a puppet. It's a little unusual to go in front and use that in sort of a corporate sense, I suppose. But a magic trick, now that I might use. It gets everyone's attention, and it's very easy to develop.
Are you going to be doing that during this show?
Yeah, absolutely.
My director just told me that you can also sing. That they want to hear you sing.
I sing what? I don't sing.
You don't sing?
And I don't sing. I
right,
promise. My puppets do. I have plenty of music that the puppets will lip sync to. It's a very fun way to.
But then
do
again, you don't have your stage.
That's okay.
So we don't.
That's okay, because I can just talk, I can tell you about it, and people in my classes will see today for sure.
Ah, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we see a bit of magic?
Well, you want me to go?
No, I don't
You don't
want you to go.
No, it's.
I will get back to you during the HIV session.
Oh, okay.
So there's still
Thank
a whole
you.
lot of sessions
Thank
for
you,
you,
folks.
Andy.
Thank you. My portion is finished. It's time for me to go.
He'll come back, right?
Yeah, he'll
during
come
the
back. I'm
HIV
sure.
session.
Sure. A
And
magic
magic
trick, huh? You want to see a magic trick?
Yes.
I suppose. Let me do. Let me do this one here. This will be nice. This is. Have you heard of Walmart?
I think.
Have you
Are you
heard
going to make this stream become one?
No, something different, very close, something like that.
Oh, right.
This is a very old trick. It's a very common. It's a very simple one. It's one of the first ones I ever learned how to do.
Right.
It's just 3 ropes. Now they sell these kinds of ropes at Nakamat, like at the you know in the craft section where they sell fabric. You know, you can't just cut the fabric yourself, right?
Yeah.
You can look at me. It's okay. But see how it works? You're just transfixed. You're watching.
I'm very
You're listening.
fascinated.
This is why it's so effective. People do not look away.
Okay.
You are not relaxed. Relax. Now, But you know, if you buy fabric at the Nacromat, you can't cut it yourself. You have to, someone else cuts it for you, and they put it in a bag, and they write down the barcode number. You check out. The same thing is true in America. So this is decorative rope, and you can see that it's just regular rope. You can hold it. There's nothing special about it whatsoever. This is true. Okay. Sometimes when magicians work, they tell fibs, they tell lies, but I'll tell you the truth. This is good. So anyway, I went to go buy it at the store. This is a true story. And the lady behind the counter, I said, can you cut 3 sizes of ropes? Just cut me a long one and a medium-sized one and a short one. And I said, but put tape on the end so the cotton rope doesn't fray and it will stay. She said, no problem. So she finished, and she put it inside the bag, and then she put the barcode in the bag, and she was going to staple it shut. So then I go to the front to check out, and I said, ma'am, wait, let me check your work before you shut the bag. Yeah. She goes, no, I did it proper. I said, I believe you, but I need to make sure. And so I grabbed the ropes like this, and I lined them up end to end. And here's what I said. I said, well, they line up okay. And that doesn't mean anything, okay? I'm just talking to distract her. I said, they line up okay. They look okay on the ends. Again, that doesn't mean anything, right? But I'm just talking fast. And I say, but I think maybe you were helping someone else, or you weren't paying attention to your work. Because as far as I can tell, it looks like all 3 of them are exactly the same size. You know, I mean, you can see that one is perfect. It's exactly what I asked for. It's a medium size. But the second one, the one along with it, that one's also the same size, and the third one is the same size as that, just like so.
You see, the reason why I was talking to you, but I'm looking at the ropes, because I didn't want to miss the trick.
You don't want to miss the trick. But here's the trick. Now they're all the same size. Now think about that as a teacher. When can you take 3 things that are different from one another and then show that indeed they're equal? We can talk about value, like you're very small and you're very big, or you're athletic and you're middle-sized, or you're extremely intelligent but you're getting bad grades. Who's more important? Who's more valuable? You're a healthy person. You're an average person, but this person here is sick, and they're always coughing, you know. But you know what? They're equally valuable. Each of those 3 people who seem very different to our eyes, they are equal in value. And I need to understand that for kids. Some of you are rich, some of you are in the middle class, and some of you are very, very poor, and you feel like you're downtrodden, but you are equal. And you are valuable, and you are special just as much as anyone else.
In our own different way.
And yes, and especially in our own different way. You see, because we look around, and yes, some people are poor. Yes, some people are average, and some people, well, they have it all. But in spite of those differences,
they're also back in the
I know. And the poor lady at the store, she almost fainted. She almost fainted. She almost fainted because it's just regular rope. But I have fast hands. This is not. I mean, this is real magic. But this is what real magic is. It's tricks. It's just scientific principles. It's techniques and fast talking, fast fingers, and I can make something magical appear.
And you just used it to demonstrate, to teach some bit of life skills.
Yes, and imagine if you're
communicated some bits of.
If you're a church worker, imagine the parables that involve 3. You know, the workers in the cornfield. One worked all day long. One group worked all day long. One group was hired in the afternoon, and one group only worked for 1 hour, but they all got paid the same. There is a way to demonstrate Jesus' parable with a visual message. The parable of the talents, where one man was given a lot, one man was given a medium amount, one man was given small, but the test was the same for all 3 of them. We can talk about the Trinity, the 3 in 1, all kinds of concepts. We take the number 3, we take the differences, we show them the same, and we think, how can I turn that into a lesson? How can I make that into a visual demonstration where every time a child sees a rope, they will think of what I taught them.
They'll remember. It's easy to remember.
Absolutely. Education, I mean, it's unfortunate that we spend so much time doing lecture and writing to teach, because there's so many other visual ways to teach that are effective. And you as an adult, you see it's not just for children, it's for everyone. I will actually do a show tonight after my seminar at 6 p.m. at the theater. It's in one of the concert halls. And in my show, I'll do a comedy show. We'll tell jokes, we'll do magic tricks, and we'll do a little bit of puppets, and I'll do lots of juggling as well. But every magic trick I do, I will give a lesson. I will teach. And the audience is there for entertainment. They'll love it. They won't even know they're being taught anything. Because they'll be enjoying it.
That is very interesting as well as encouraging. How do you measure the effectiveness? What parameters do you use to measure the effectiveness of your work when you're teaching? to evaluate whether people are just taking the entertainment part or they're also consuming the education part as well?
That's important. That's a very, very valuable question. I get reports from teachers. I get really kind letters. I get a lot of letters that say the kids were talking about it a week later. The kids are talking about it 2 weeks later. They still remember when you came and you juggled that thing and you talked about strength or whatever. And personally, I got into this specifically to use in developing world countries because I was working at the puppet factory one day about 10 years ago. And I got a call from an NGO who was based in Southeast Asia. And the man on the phone, he said, "Darren, I want some free puppets." So of course, all of our clients are NGOs or churches, so they always want something for free. And I said, "Well, I cannot give you anything for free. What's going on?" He goes, "Well, I'm working in Cambodia, and I'm a chemist. I'm a scientist, and I've developed a water purification system. And I purify the water for the people in the villages all over Cambodia, but it doesn't matter because they don't understand about germs. So they take dirty buckets and put clean water inside, and they keep contaminating themselves." He says, "But I saw something the other day inside the market. People were watching these puppet shows that were come over from America on the videos, and adults were watching the puppets. And I thought, I can teach with those. I want some puppets so I can teach." So even though I'm a scientist who's making water purification systems, I want entertainment to teach these people about how germs work and about how waterborne illness works. So I flew over to Southeast Asia, and I brought some puppets, and we've developed a program. And it turns out in the villages that have the education, they're the ones who have the greatest health. And so we actually had scientific evidence of it working. And the prime minister of the country saw the program that we did with magic, because we would show how dirty water would become clean. And we should show that illustration, and then we would show where the puppets would do a play about what to do with your water, or if you had diarrhea issues, what you could do to your water to change it so you could feel better, and these sensitive topics that people don't like to talk about. Yep. And the Prime Minister said, "I want this in every one of my schools in Cambodia," and sure enough, it still travels around. And it's still a valuable way. And when they did an A and B test, villages who had the education and villages that did not have the education, and the health was different.
All right.
So there's evidence out there.
That was good reception there. Is it the same reception you get into any other country, any other state that you visited?
Well, certainly.
Are we embracing the whole aspect of puppetry?
People embrace it, but they have a little bit of a hard time because they don't have enough training. People want to use it, but they're unsure. And so it usually appeals to people who are actively pursuing the arts, generally speaking. But comfort therapy, this isn't in hospitals. This is where we see people who are very passionate, people who go in and they're able to communicate with children who are sick, who don't want to talk, or they've been traumatized, or they've been hurt by violence. These kids are very closed off. So the counselors and the therapists will use puppets and draw out the kid and say, "Hey, I'm different too, and I just wanted to know how you're doing, because I'm quite sick." And the communication, the kids light up, and they will begin to open up and talk about their difficulties, their pains, or their mental trauma to the puppet. This allows therapists to work. These people really catch on. But educators do as well, as long as they're trained with confidence. What's nice is that many people want to use drama to teach or to present a concept, especially at churches. But many people are shy. They don't like to be in front of people. I mean, they want to be involved in outreach, or they want to be involved in service or education, but they're just not comfortable like me and you being in front of tons of people. But with the puppet, they can hide behind the stage, no one has to see them, and they can just begin to shine because no one sees them, and they can do the work.
Nobody judges them.
Exactly.
And you know what's interesting about this whole aspect? See, when you hold Andy, and he's talking to me, I sort of get glued to him, and I forget there's a Darren there, and I sort of just get glued to the puppet.
Sometimes I forget too.
Let's move over to the whole HIV and AIDS concept, and how you're using the puppets to sort of develop the curriculum to teach about HIV and AIDS. Tell us a bit about that, and why particularly you chose HIV and AIDS as one of the topics. I've
developed curriculum for different people, for different things in the past. And I've been invited to many different countries to do different work. And one day, someone, an African man had said he wanted to learn puppets from me, because I'm also a stand-up comedian. I know many comedians in Texas. And I said, well, why do you want to learn to use puppets, you know? And he said, I said, well, I would like to use that in my home country, in Zambia, to teach about HIV and AIDS, because in my country, we really don't like to talk about it. And he was very uncomfortable. In his region of Zambia, it was just saying the word condom was embarrassing for him. And he'd been in the United States for a while, and we're very open, and he would look over his shoulder whenever he would say condom, because he was just not comfortable with it. But he knew that with puppets, they're able to say things that are not. And so he said, where do I learn to do puppets? What university do I go to? And I said, there's no university. I said, this is America. All you have to do is get very good at something, and then get twice as good at finding someone to pay you to do it. That's what you have to do. So I'll teach you how to get good at something, and you figure out the rest. And so I started to teach him how to use puppets. But it stuck in my head like, wow. Because he wanted to do it by himself and to work on his own project. And I said, certainly. But I thought, that's interesting, because I have curriculum for other concepts, especially when it comes to church education. We have just tons of curriculum. And it just kind of stuck in my head. And this was like 3 or 4 years ago. And then I met another man from Kenya who was born and raised in Nakuru. And I met him in Dallas. And he said, what's with the puppets? And I told him. He says, oh, Kenya needs puppets. I was like, okay, tell me more. And he says, well, it's true. People could really learn from this kind of thing, and we could really use it for education. And so it just weighed heavy on my heart. I'm kind of naive. I've been all over the world, but I've always been invited. Someone's always invited me because they wanted my skills. I showed up here by myself. I'm not with an NGO. I'm not with any company of any kind, except I have a company that makes puppets. But I've not been invited, so I'm just trying to learn. And so I've been meeting with NGOs, I've been meeting with people like you, and just learning, okay, what do you need communicated? What's the most important concept? Okay, and what age group needs to hear this? And just sitting down and interviewing and trying to learn the culture, because I don't want to be a guy who shows up and says, I have all the answers. Yeah. All I know is that this is a good teaching technique, and if Kenyans want to learn how to use it, I will teach them. I'm not going to end up doing these shows myself. I want to teach people to use it for their own culture. Yeah, I'll have to learn a lot. I mean, it would be wrong for me to show up and say, I have the answers. Let me tell you how to fix your problems here in Kenya. That's not what I'm doing. I want to find out what people are trying to do and say, I can assist. Would you like my help? If you want it, I'll make it for you.
All right.
So,
Darren, I wanted to take a break, but when we come back, I want us to tell us whether you went back or you communicated with the Zambia man to find out how effective he's using puppetry to teach about HIV and AIDS, whether it was as effective as he had assumed, or as he had anticipated. Of course, we want to learn more from you and how, of course, you can embrace
I've got more fun things. Training. Sure.
So you, whoever is watching at home, don't go too far. We'll be right back in just a moment. Welcome back. You're still watching Good Morning Kenya, and today we are evaluating how you can use entertainment content not only to amuse but also to educate. And with me in studio is an edutainment from the Creative Ministry training that is in the United States, who is here till September. Oh well, so you have July, the rest of this month, you have August and a bit of September. Sort of mingle with Darren Collins. He is also a puppet trainer. And during the first part of the show, which was pretty much interesting, we did see how you can use, the whole aspect of puppetry to educate, not just to entertain, not just to see the amusing part, but also to educate. And, Andy is back in the show.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get into Andy, I'm going to ask Darren.
Okay.
How are you able to pick? How are you able to make a difference between the content that is highly educational and highly entertaining? How do you draw a balance?
I draw the balance by watching the audience. When they stop paying attention, I shift gears. I try to make it as educational as possible. The goal is to communicate educational topics.
Yes,
But
that is the top goal, the main goal.
The main goal. But if I see the audience, you know, maybe looking from side to side, or, you know, whether it's students or adults, or they're not quite paying attention, then I bring up the entertainment. I make it more entertaining. So I gauge it by the actual audience themselves. Yeah,
Interesting.
for sure.
Interesting. Now, Ali did mention something about the whole missionary way of training. You know, how we used to train, how corporates are used to training, using sort of the manuals that you have.
Oh, yeah.
And how you bring in the whole aspect of edutainment into it. Tell us a bit about that.
Well,
why does Andy have to go down?
He doesn't, well, because I'm going to use my hands. I was going to pick
all
something
right.
up. That's okay. He doesn't have to go. I'm sorry. See, look how disappointed she is.
Sure.
The contrast, I mean, when I first was ready to come here, I thought, well, I really want to teach, because here's the thing. I learned recently about an inventor, a scientist, who was alive from like 1900 to 81. And one of the things he did when he was a young man, he was about in his late 20s, early 30s, he tried all kinds of business and he'd failed. But he was a genius. His name was R. Buckminster Fuller. And he invented all kinds of things that humanity is now using. But I won't get into his biography, but he said, what I'm going to do with my life is I'm only going to work on things that no one else is working on. And I'm only going to invent things that no one else is inventing. And I'm not going to do it for money. I'm going to do it just because humans need it. And the money will come. And sure enough, the money came, and he was compensated for his work, and governments all over the world contracted him to do stuff, and he invented amazing things. But I thought, well, that's interesting. Why not make it a goal that whenever I do a project, it's something that no one else is doing? Unfortunately, that man from Zambia, he stopped doing that. So I thought, there's an opening. No one else is doing this right now. There's no one using puppets and magic and juggling that I know of who is doing HIV education. And so that's something that no one in the world is doing, and it's something that will help humanity, and I'm not going to do it for money. I'm here to do it because it just needs to be done. And I know I can do it. It's just a matter of learning enough and training the people locally to do it themselves.
All right.
And so the other day, I went to a school, right? And I went to the school, and I just learned from an NGO, one of the problems, one of the things they like to teach is that children who are born with AIDS, they're often ostracized, they're alienated, they're kept away. Some of them have their own bowl and their own fork and their own food because the family won't eat with them. They don't get enough human touch. You know, they do not have that experience. They're oftentimes just treated as lower citizens. They're not as important. And I was so sad by that. So I was doing a school show, and someone said, use a puppet. I said, well, I don't usually use a puppet without a stage. I don't have a stage here, but I grabbed Andy just the way he is. And I never do this, like on television here, this is rare. I grabbed him and I said, hey kids, I'm a little bit sick. In fact, I'm always sick. And I'm blue. Nobody else here is blue. I got blue hair and blue skin, and I'm different than everybody. And I just wish people liked me. I know I'm different, but I just wish, would there be anyone here who would be my friend? And these kids, these weren't tiny kids. These were 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th, 6th. These are older kids, and yeah, we'll be your friend. And Andy goes, well, it's just that no one ever wants to touch me. I never get any hugs. I just wish someone would give me a hug. I know I'm sick all the time, and I'm so different. But would you? And one little girl just raised her hand. I'll give him a hug. And so I said, it's okay, come forward. And Andy goes, will you bring me down? And so I brought him down low, and she wrapped her arms around him, and Andy just went and smiled and waved to the rest of the kids in the audience, and they all lit up. And I thought, because I've never done this before, this is new for me, and I thought, this is really working. Kids are seeing what it's like, in a dramatic way, what it's like to see someone who's alienated, someone who's sick, someone who's different be accepted, and how important it was to Andy. And what a great jumping off point to then say, listen, there are people out there, there are people in your neighborhood who are diseased and who are sick and who have HIV, but they need that touch. They need to be loved. They are valuable in the same way that you are, even, you know, and then so what a great way to teach, you know, but I learned this from talking to people here in Kenya. This is a big problem for the young people. It's very hard for people who are born and growing up with it.
You know, what is pretty much interesting, Darren, is every time you touch your tools, you sort of get, you sort of lighten up. You become someone different. Like when you hold Andy, you sort of just lighten up and you're happy and you change into something else, which is pretty interesting. Now we have very limited time left. Is there some more magic you'd like to do?
Sure. Yeah. Sure, and you know, it's not just me that lightens up and changes. Anyone here in Kenya who would like to learn, I mean, absolutely come to the theater today. It'll be a great opportunity. Let me grab some magic stuff. But tell you, this is, I don't want to be the one to do it. I want to teach other people. And so if they could come today to the Kenya National Theater, and you could bring the camera down here if you can, if it's possible, and I'll show you a trick here. Can you see the desk here?
Yeah.
And on the show tonight, I'm going to do a magic trick very similar to this at the theater. The show begins at 6. I hope you come. Do you think you could come tonight? I've got a whole lot.
Try.
I know it's the last minute
I'll try
notice.
Because of working schedule.
But I also train people to use very similar things like this. So I have 3 cards. Now the camera can't see it too well, but here's a star, okay, and here is a triangle. And here is a circle. And what I would like you to do, Doreen, is just choose one. Don't say it out loud. Just say it, just in your mind. Just choose one of these cards. It's a free choice. There's 3 to choose from. Just pick whatever you like.
Do you have to pick?
No, just think in your mind. Yeah.
All right, fine.
So have you got it?
Yeah.
Look at me. I know which one you're thinking of. I already know which one you've chosen.
All right.
Would you like to change your mind?
No.
No, you're going to keep it.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it.
Oh, you're quite brave. Okay. Now, here's the problem. I have a circle, a triangle, and a star. But what if there was a square here? You know, we don't have one here. And I said, well, you've chosen the square. You could say, nope, I didn't. And then I would feel like a fool in front of all these people. So tell you what, in front of everyone, why don't you take my magic wand here? Take it in your left hand, please. And then reach over and let me and the viewers just show us which one you've chosen. It'll make sense in a moment. Just show us. Just tap on it. Just tap on whichever one you chose. Just go ahead and put your...
The one I had chosen.
Yeah, the one you chose. You let us know. The circle. Yeah? Okay. I knew it.
Really?
I knew you picked the circle.
How do we prove that you knew it?
How do I prove? Yeah. Why do you need proof? You can't just believe me?
No, I just can't believe it because I tapped on it.
Well, tell you what, maybe you need to examine your magic wand a little more carefully.
And why is that? Oh!
Read it to the
really? Oh, just so you know, it's written, you will select the circle. There we are.
Select the
circle. And that is what I had chosen in my mind, and that is what I tapped. Okay. Really? Really? Interesting.
Really? It is interesting. How do you feel? What do you think?
Okay, can we do it again?
Can I do it again? Well, it's unnecessary to do it again.
It's unnecessary to do it again.
But it's an interesting deception, isn't it? It is a deception.
Yeah.
It's not. This is real magic, and real magic is always a fake. It's never actually, there's no special power. I couldn't actually tell.
So how come you did?
I know. Well, there's a couple things happening because this is a deception that people use in all areas of life. Economists use it. Corporations use it. Politicians use it. Philosophers use it. Religious leaders use it. There is a way to deceive people to make them think you knew what they were thinking. I couldn't possibly know. It's not possible. The human brain can't do it. But I can deceive you into doing it.
Okay.
I will tell you, there's 3 parts to the trick. I'll tell you 2 parts. The first part is you're in charge. You're clearly the authority, and the viewers know that this is your house. But I tried to do everything I could to make you feel a little bit uneasy. I said, I know what you're thinking. And you're thinking, he does? No, he doesn't. Does he? So it made you a little bit unsure. I said, would you like to change your mind? I acted like I was giving you the option to do whatever you want. It's a power move. I'm not the powerful person, you are, but I'm trying so hard to take authority in the situation. I said, take my magic wand, and you used your right hand, and I said, use your left. And you had to switch. I made you uncomfortable, off balance. Now you're no longer in control. This is what people do when they're trying to deceive others. They put themselves in a powerful position, they make other people, and they make you think that you have a free choice. You do have a free choice, but then they act like, oh, well, I knew all along. And I used a very specific technique that I will not reveal on air because it's a secret. It's a trade secret. But It's a powerful deception, and many people use it even on accident. Some people don't know they're using it when they do.
All right, fine. We are running out of time.
Oh no, oh no!
Any other magic that you'd like to use?
Any other magic I'd like to use? Oh gosh. You know what would be nice? This is an educational thing. In my show, whenever I do like a public show, like today at the theater at 6 at the National Theater, I really hope people can come because I don't have any other way to make my way. Yeah. This is my way to keep myself fed and with a bed here in Kenya, is to do these workshops to teach puppetry and to do a show. Oh, can I tell them my website? I was told I could.
Yeah, we're going to tell them as we come to the close of the show.
Cool, wonderful. Well, I challenge people to pick things for me to juggle. And I have like a metal chain, I have a machete, panga, is that what it's called? Panga? Yeah, a hatchet, and I can juggle, all kinds of things. And then but then I say, I want to challenge anyone to bring me 3 things that I cannot juggle. Because, and by juggling, I mean, this here, right? I'm very good at it. I can juggle all kinds of things. And it's one of the skills.
You do that better if you're standing, though.
Oh, I'm standing, and I have machetes and all kinds of things. But one day, someone brought me paper, and I tried, and I'll tell you, this is... I just can't. I fail every time. And so I did this in front of an audience. I said, I fail every single time. Could someone help me? And I hand the paper over to someone else. Go ahead, help me.
What should I do?
You can crumple it up into a ball. Nice and tight. Here's another one. And recently I went to a school and I did this. And I tried and I failed in front of all the kids. And I handed the paper over to the principal, and she immediately just began to crumple it up. She knew exactly what to do. I said, I need your help because I have the skills to juggle. I have the mind to juggle, and I have the materials to juggle, but I constantly fail. But I gave it over to the principal, and then she handed them back like this, and suddenly, success. But see, that's the same thing that's true for our students. Yeah. For anyone who wants to learn anything, you have the mind to do what you were born to do.
Look at the different aspects.
But you have to give yourself over to a teacher, to a trainer, to someone else, and allow them to mold you and shape you and turn you into something that you can use. You're born with the God-given ability to do all kinds of wonderful things in the world, but you have to submit yourself to an educator, to a teacher, to someone who can guide you and shape you, whether it's your pastor at your church, your principal at your school, or just someone who's come in from far away who says, I have a technique and you can learn it. Well, please, if you would like to learn, let me know, because I have a long ways to go, and I want Kenyans to be able to do this project.
All right, very insightful, very encouraging.
I hope so.
Everyone has the ability. All they need to do is think a bit hard, look for a bit of encouragement from someone else, and they're able to do it. All right, as we come to the close of the show, Darren, unfortunately we have to come to the close of the show. Where is it that you'd like people to be today? Where is it that you're going to be till September? Okay. And what should people look forward to learning from you?
Certainly. Today at 2 o'clock, I will be teaching the art of puppetry to anyone who wants to use it for television, for education, for church workers, anyone who's teaching children or adults. They can learn hands-on. It's 1,800 shillings per person. It's 3.5 hours of university-level teaching. It's some of the best. I promise you that. I've done it all over the world. It's at 2 o'clock at the Kenya National Theater. It's in the concert hall, and I can't pronounce it very well. It's right to the left of the theater. That's at 2 o'clock, and it goes until 5:30. But please be early for discussion. And then at 6 o'clock, I'm doing a family show. Families are invited. It's
6 o'clock.
It's 500 shillings. It's the same exact location. We'll do juggling and magic, and we'll encourage everyone and teach them. But mostly it's just entertainment. And I have some local comedians who are very funny who are coming, and some musicians. It'll be a wonderful time at 6 o'clock. And then for the rest of the month, Deliverance Church has invited me to teach their church workers all over the country. All right. So every weekend I'll be teaching. So
anyone who misses the show today, they can catch you?
Yes, at darrencollins.net. That's DARRENCOLLINS.net. That's DARRENCOLLINS, darrencollins.net. Click on Kenya, and all my information is there.
Anyone who misses you on your show today in Nairobi can always catch you countrywide, Deliverance Church, is it?
That's right. You can call the House of Bread there, and they are coordinating all of my work all around the country.
All right.
Yes.
Your closing remarks, Darren.
Closing remarks. I'm just excited. It's very strange for me to be in a foreign land all by myself, and I just want to meet more people who work with NGOs. Because what I'm doing is I'm developing something. Other NGOs are using flip charts to say, this is H, this is I, this is V. This is a great way. It's important information that they have. But I can show you a way to make something more visual and more interesting that people are just absolutely want to see and is entertaining. And I've done it all over the world. And as a guest here, I need your help. An NGO, if someone would just contact me and let me know what your needs are, and I will partner with you to develop this curriculum. This is new for me, and it's exciting for me, but it's also scary. I'm by myself, and if I could just meet more people from more NGOs who would like to partner with me.
All right.
DarrenCollins.net, I'm there.
Darren Collins. Creative what is that?
Creative ministry trainer.
Training,
yes.
And a puppet trainer. Thank you very much for the insight. Thank you very much for coming through to Good Morning Kenya and for sharing with us, which has been very entertaining, but at the same time very encouraging. Particularly when you tell the young people that everyone has the ability. We are all the same. We are different, but we have sort of the same capabilities in our own very different ways. So I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I have. It's Edutainment, today being a Friday. And well, today at least I'll take something home with me, something that I can share with someone else. You know, when you find someone down, you can always tell them, oh, well, you know, today you're down, but there's always this aspect about you. You're not a failure. So don't go away. We come back with the second part of Good Morning Kenya in just a moment. Thank you very much.